Good morning. I'd much rather, at this moment, be traveling to the airport to come to meet with you in person in Kiev, rather than dealing with an administrative matter that deals with the ability of my students to remain in the U.S. and to complete the degree programs that they've begun. My apologies for not being there in person, and my gratitude to all of you to allow me to do this video instead. You didn't need a group of outsiders to tell you that you have a difficult job. What I would like to share with you is our ideas about why that job can be completed successfully and why there is a path for the AMCU to follow that will lead to the development of a truly superior agency. The starting point is the quality of the human capital. We emphasize, first of all, the quality of the leadership team on the board and in the senior leadership positions. There's been a dramatic upgrade in the capacity of the agency to function well. Without good leadership, there's no point in proceeding ahead. And we see a leadership team that has a true vision for improvements, a sound approach for achieving them, and an awareness of what has to be done in order to seek improvements. That's a vital starting point. We also see in the staff a level of drive and commitment that, certainly in my experience, is unmatched. We see a willingness to go above and beyond the bare minimum requirements of the job to excel in the very difficult tasks that the agency faces. So we see a team within the AMCU that in many respects is equal to the task. That's the necessary foundation for success. A second reason for which we are confident that one can proceed and do this successfully deals with resources. We take as a starting point the resources that the AMCU has. And we don't necessarily assume that there will be an enhancement. What is encouraging is a recognition by the AMCU of what it has to do to make the best of what it receives now. This is happening in a couple of ways. First and foremost, the development of a new business plan, a strategy that identifies the top priorities for projects and other activities, and singles out activities according to their ability to deliver a good rate of return for the citizens of Ukraine. This will help the agency put its resources where they're likely to do the most good. And there is a conscious, careful process being developed inside the agency to accomplish exactly that. A second step that we see to be very important is the building of a program internally to see that resources across the entire AMCU and its regional offices are used well. When I was at the USFTC, we had 8 regional offices. I found it difficult enough to define exactly what the role for those offices should be. And I have no suggestion for you about what the optimal number of offices is. I can assure you that it is important, whatever the configuration is, to do several things. One, to have a clear idea of what each office is doing. Second, to have a keen awareness of new projects as they're developed. Third, to ensure that there is a coherent program that runs across all offices. Different configurations can serve this end, but what is indispensable is to build the sense of common cause about what the agency should do and how its priorities can best be fulfilled. And the efforts on the part of the AMCU leadership to achieve better integration and performance across all of its offices will enable the agency to perform at a higher level. A last consideration that I want to mention is how the agency is doing a better and better job of engaging outsiders in its work. Better transparency, more disclosure about its enforcement intentions and actual decisions will serve to improve its legitimacy, the autonomy that comes from greater legitimacy, and its effectiveness in encouraging outsiders to pursue compliance approaches that will bring the law more closely into an alignment with international standards and encourage individual firms to do what they should to meet their obligations under the law. We would also now turn to a couple of areas in which external support would be important. So far I've talked about things that are directly under the AMCU's control. It would be very helpful if its resources were augmented externally. And this doesn't have to be by a dramatic amount. $1 million outlay will permit a complete upgrade and transformation of the IT system to a world-class IT system. That $1 million outlay will enable the agency to do much better work with its existing projects. It will help it fulfill its obligation under the state aid program that comes into effect, has come into effect already, and it will ensure that the agency is able to monitor its flow of work in a much more effective way. A small outlay for the IT improvements will dramatically upgrade performance within the AMCU. The other thing I'd point out is the importance of better access to data. If you look at all agencies, if you benchmark the AMCU against all of its peers across the world, over 130 agencies now, it's obvious that the AMCU lags behind in an important respect. It does not have the capacity to compel access to records without the approval of the affected firms. Ukraine will have to decide the way in which it rolls out an expansion of information gathering powers. But one step that could be taken to make law enforcement so much more effective is to grant this authority. And I think here you can turn to international experience to have the greatest confidence that that gradual expansion of authority will yield very successful results. Again, I come back to where I began, which is that there is the capacity inside the agency to undertake these improvements. There's the human capital, and there is the commitment to persevere. Now, the day might come when one thinks that the obstacles to be overcome are too daunting and that success is too remote. But we think that day is not today. And indeed, by the commitment of the agency to recognize its opportunity for greatness, to develop a program to achieve it, and to let no one deter you from its accomplishment, will be a formula for success over time. Thank you.